I have seen some call this the band's 19th album, others highlight it as their 20th. Either way you look at it, Your Future Is Your Past by Brian Jonestown Massacre, well, the band is closing in on 24 LPs. Given the album's title, I think it's appropriate to take a little bit of a look back. Brian Jonestown Massacre is an American psychedelic rock band that formed in San Francisco in 1990. Founder and lead vocalist Anton Newcomb has been really the constant driving force behind the band's sound and creative direction for the entirety of the band's 33 years. And over those years, their music style has ranged from garage rock to shoegaze to folk to psychedelic rock and even electronic. Early albums such as Methadone and Thank God for Mental Illness featured kind of lo-fi, droning, and heavily distorted guitar sounds that were influenced on one part by the 1960s psychedelia and another part by garage rock, and of course, when you're looking at that first one, shoegaze. In contrast, later albums such as My Bloody Underground and Revelation featured a more polished and refined sound that incorporated more modern elements of shoegaze, folk, and, like I said, even electronic music. About Your Future Is Your Past. The site Louder Than War calls out some familiar terms when it comes to Brian Jonestown Massacre, but they highlight the album's and, well, frankly, any BJM album's uniqueness. Quote, with some big anthemic tunes, it's full of droning guitars, mesmerizing rhythms, swirling keys, and rolling drum fills, all of which have characterized so much of their output over the years. But having said that, no two albums have ever sounded remotely similar, and each has its own character. I'll have a link to that article down in the description. So Brian Jonestown Massacre is constantly evolving with each new album, confronting and experimenting with different sounds and genres while really staying true to the defining ambiance that Newcomb has personified throughout his entire career. BJM has been described as hypnotic, unpredictable, that's pretty obvious, and transcendent. And they've developed a loyal fan base because of that. And that fan base appreciates that kind of eclectic approach to indie and psychedelic rock. On The Future Is Your Past, several BJM mainstays rear their heads. Psychedelic rock, garage rock, folk rock, to name a few. But there's also hints of kind of a jangle that we haven't really seen all too much from Newcomb's projects in quite a while. The result is something that, as you'd expect, is both forward-looking and kind of reminiscent of some longtime favorites. It feels put together and cohesive, and like I noted, I'm not the only one to recognize this. In a Clash music review by Nick Roseblade, the critic writes, quote, "The Future Is Your Past is the most consistent album Newcomb has released since Methadone." And of course, Methadone was their first album. He goes on to note that, that's not saying that the other ones in between are bad, it's just cohesively better. I recently said kind of something similar about the new Yola Tango album, This Stupid World. And that is this. There really aren't any overly weak points on this album. Just tracks that aren't quite as good as the ones that truly stand out. Early favorites for me off of this LP include Nothing Can Stop the Sound, Fudge, As the Carousel Swings, and Stuck to Use. Fudge is really kind of the early favorite, and a prime example of the band's ability to create immersive and emotionally evocative music that kind of pushes the boundaries of what I would consider traditional rock music and even traditional indie rock music. One part cryptic, another part subdued yet powerful, Newcomb conveys a sense of longing and melancholy that's frankly really easy to connect with. And the instrumentation is both atmospheric, lush, and sonic. Closing track, Stuck to Use, really is kind of like my second favorite on the album, and it stands out both for being catchy and upbeat, featuring kind of a driving rhythm section, jangly guitars, hook-filled vocal melody, and it'll get stuck in your head. It's playful, it's flirtatious. The song conveys a sense of infatuation and desire. And as with most songs on The Future Is Your Past, Stuck to Use connects the band's ability to blend elements of heavily drenched out 60s psychedelic rock with more modern indie rock sensibilities. Thus, it creates a captivating sound that is, and frankly has always been, BJM to their core. The LP comes on clear wax with a simple illustrated gatefold sleeve and a BJM branded box of colored pencils, so you can color it yourself. Now, personally, that's pretty cool if you ask me. Many are calling this the best Brian Jonestown Massacre album in decades, and it's easy to hear why. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.